Let's start off with the AEW. Let's start off with the Lucha. It's Wednesday. We got a big night. There's a lot of big news coming out of Dynamite. Plus, it was just a packed card. And I don't know about you, but I'm just a huge mark for their media scrums. Like, I set the reminder, and if I fall asleep, I will watch the entire media scrum the next day, like immediately when I wake up. And
because they've done these differently, where they kind of book them as a shoot. They're shoots.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it really makes it feel like it's a legitimate sporting contest, which it in a way it is, right? These guys are competing with each other. Just, you can have predetermined outcomes for the actual matches, but if you listen to Punk, it was just, I don't know, it's real. And when wrestling is real, it just feels good. And the media scrum really adds to that. And when that, I don't know which reporter it was, when that reporter asked CM Punk to comment on Eric Bischoff saying that CM Punk was the biggest financial flop, when Tony Khan went into freaking rooster mode, and there's already memes for it. He went into freaking, and I was like, oh, Punk was cursing, but then I was like, oh, I can't believe he's cursing in front of the boss. And Tony Khan's like, that's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. And he just started like, sorry, now I dropped. I was just like, he just started like flame warring and just like, oh, and he started giving like legit numbers of like how CM Punk really did affect the bottom line and get them into the black. And he was defending him on there. I was like, this is great. This is great. This is what I want to see.
Tony Khan's a hothead.
He really is.
Like, he's like blows his top tech boss.
Yeah.
That you hear screaming in the other office.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he seems like he's very polite to everyone on the camera, but and he was even nice about it, but he was just flipping out on that reporter and just like, and then even CM Punk says, we're not talking about that anymore. He cut him off. He's just like, let's go to a new spot because we're not cutting that off. And that was the big news. And the other big news coming out of that was the MJF walkout.
That kind of overshadowed the whole show, honestly.
Or did it? And I think it helped the buy rate. And we're going to find out here in 45 minutes because MJF is going to be on Dynamite, and they actually announced it. So
he's going to be on?
He's going to be on Dynamite tonight. So I'm really curious, but
JJ, let us know what's happening.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We might have to throw that on there, but it was will he or won't he show up, which I think it was great for the buy rates.
Definitely, but I feel it was a weird energy to start the show.
Well, because we were debating if it was a work or it's a shoot, but then the way Tony Khan handled saying I'm not going to comment on that, then I realized, oh, this is a shoot, because I feel like as good as Tony Khan is as promoting his stuff, what he's probably not good at is working the crowd. Like, I never want to see Tony Khan, the evil promoter, because I don't think he's going to be as good. I just want to see Tony Khan, the passionate fan who's turned into this great promoter that's created an alternative brand. So when he really, and then he threw that shot on there, it's just like, and this was later on in the scrum, and when I do my contract negotiations, I do it with honor. And I feel like he was taking a shot at MJF on that, because everyone knows, and it was great. MJF was just like, January 2024, it's going to be the biggest bidding war, and that's cool. And I feel like if that was where he was going, he may have pulled the trigger too early.
Can we focus on this for a little bit? Because I feel like this needs to get talked about, this entire thing that happened, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
Because my first instinct was, yes, this is a work. Okay, Sasha and Naomi just walked out. Tony Khan's smart. He's playing up on that. You know what I mean? That's already in the atmosphere. So why not have something with that over here? MJF's a heel. He could do a dick move like that, right? It sounded good. Then it started coming out that it wasn't so much of that, and it was probably real. And it's kind of like, well, I was like, that's really shitty, right? It's really, if that's a fact, then it's like, yeah, MJF just comes up as a huge dick, in real life.
Yeah,
right?
No, and that's what I mean. It
is like Wardlow's big. It was a 2-year build for that.
Yeah,
or more, or year and a half, 2 years, whatever. And to screw him over when it's finally his night. It's like, that sucks. That's really crap. That your coworkers would hate you.
Yeah. Right, because MJF got over being MJF, but he also got over being MJF by other people helping him to continue to be MJF. So for like you said, I was one. I didn't realize how hot Wardlow was. I was like, I even felt like they kind of pulled I told you this. I feel like they kind of pulled the trigger early on the Wardlow experiment. Like I feel like they needed to do a little bit more build, but I stand corrected because he was uber over, and give it to MJF. He came in here and he did the job. He did the duties, and he went in there and he worked that angle the right way he should have worked it. But the whole behind the scenes stuff, I hope it's not true. I hope it was somewhat of a semi work. And look, I'm not saying I do want to see the biggest contract negotiation between WWE and AEW closer to the end of the contract. Because guess what? If it happens now and he finds a way he's not going to get out of his contract. And WWE, they're already stacked to the gills. It would end up being a waste. It's not going to... If he wants to have that Chris Jericho moment of jumping to Monday Night Raw, or even Cody more recently, the Hardys when they did that, I think he would have had to wait that time. He would have had to wait closer to the end of the contract of the will they won't they. Because now if you do it, think about what happened to Bray Wyatt. Like how much steam does Bray Wyatt's going to get a big pop when he comes back, wherever he comes back. But how big of a pop would he have when you were expecting him to come? I don't know. I think if that's what he was doing, I think it was a mistake. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just too hard of a... Is it really that bad of a place to work? Like, what happened that changed it?
Don't know, but I mean, he's definitely a top guy there. I guess the story says he wasn't... he felt he wasn't getting paid what he deserved, and... I understand that. He's a big part of that show. He's one of the top guys. But
well, yeah, there was a quote today too that's saying that Tony Khan said MJF was a huge part of AEW's growth, which he undoubtedly he was, right? He was one of the four pillars. He was one of the pillars, and you look at him and he's an AEW guy. I don't care how many videos of Samoa Joe pushing him as an NXT security guard. That's now it's like a footnote. He's an AEW top heel guy that could now have a run with CM Punk for the Pretty Platinum.
So the whole time when this was going on, I was wondering in my head what you thought about this, but like this whole thing playing out, how does this affect Vince's opinion of MJF, right? Because this is a very much a not doing business kind of thing to do.
Yeah. That's my concern is it will, and everyone's like, Vince doesn't pay attention to anything going on anywhere, but the other people do, and other people are in Vince's ear. And yeah, if you're not going to do the time, if you're not going to do, honor your contract, it's right. It's the same thing when you want to beat somebody, you want to give them something because you want to make it feel like you're beating somebody. You don't want to just squat. That perception is reality, and I think it would negatively affect any kind of contract negotiations that you have going on there. Which that means is really, does MJF, is he believing his own hype? And now he thinks that he can get away with, but you can be a great heel and the money drawer all you want, but in the end, you're going to still have to play ball, right? You still have to play ball for it to work. You can't go into business for yourself against the office. You can play the offices against each other, sure, but if you're going to walk out at one, why is the other one going to take a chance on you?
JJ says he wants to get paid like Adam Cole, Punk, and Joe are getting paid. He's arguably bigger than Cole and Joe in AEW. It's true. I mean, he's
that's
huge.
Accurate.
It's accurate, but yeah.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that. Now, if the play was to just work your way into getting an amendment to get a raise, then I can kind of support this. Then I can see that. So, and again, now you're talking about not MJF, the wrestler, you're talking about MJF, the person. And if you feel like you're not getting justly paid, then now I have a different perception of what's happening. Then I 100% support what he did because he proved his value by threatening and becoming overshadowing everything that's going to happen on the show just with the will he or won't he. And now it could be argued he actually increased the buy rate just by doing that. So if that's why he did it and it wasn't a true, I want to get out of my contract, it's just I want to get a raise, then I support it as somebody who works.
Yeah.
Then I'm all for it. So if that's what if he comes out, because look, I don't know. I mean, it's no secret that it definitely felt like Cody left over money. I don't think Cody left over creative. I don't think, he says one thing, but remember that one felt like a shoot promo that he did right before his match with Sammy, and we was talking about contracts, and he's like, and it's not the contract that I wanted, and he took that little bit of shot. It feels like it was more about money, and like JJ's saying that these guys have that much value. I mean, and look, and Tony Khan, if you listen to Scrum, he clearly watches those quarterly ratings of like when people are spiking and when they're changing, when they're changing the stream and who's actually, and you can't argue with the facts. I agree with you. I think that MJF is bigger than Joe and Punk. I mean, not Punk, Joe and Adam Cole. I don't think he's bigger than Punk. I don't think anyone's bigger than Punk in AEW right now. Even Brian kind of takes a back seat to Punk, but
CM Punk's definitely more known in the mainstream.
Yeah,
and he was just on Mayans beating the shit out of somebody.
He was.
Yeah,
yeah. So, but if I think it's fair to say that I want to get paid as much money as Adam Cole, especially if he's one of the pillars. And look, this to pull the curtain back a little bit, this happens all the time in this business on a lower scale. This used to happen all the time when we'd go work a territory and we'd go to like somewhere in East Texas and we'd start to draw an audience and we get a little bit of following. Then they'd bring in these bigger names and then they'd pay them more. But then you're like, wait a minute, we're the one that's been getting the crowd to grow to this point where you can afford to bring in one of those bigger names. Shouldn't we get a bigger piece of the pie? This is a standard tale in pro wrestling. But we're seeing it play out on a much bigger scale. And the hot take is, Tony Khan, if you're listening, I know you watch the show. We know you watch the show. And if you want to call in, we got this device you can call into. But I think you should pay MJF the money. Just give him a little bit of a raise. Give him a little bit of a bump. Because come January 2024, there's got to be... He's
gone.
Yeah. There's a market.
He's gone.
There's a market for AEW to Cody talked about building. Everyone talks about opening the forbidden door. I built the forbidden door. And Cody Rhodes made the forbidden door go in two directions. And now he proved that there is an audience for those people to come from AEW to WWE with the same music, with the same vibe. And they're going to get, and honestly, if MJF would have showed up on Raw like any time right now, it would have had the same impact of Chris Jericho showing up on Raw after leaving Nitro, like right now.
Well, I mean, this is showing Vince's long-term strategy here, I think, a little bit. He let folks go to leave to AEW and just wait it out, and eventually they come back.
Yeah.
He buys them all back. They all go get over somewhere else, and they come back hot.
Like a Stephen King book, sometimes they come back. Oh, man, yeah, and Cody came back, and he's the heir apparent to dethrone, the tribal chief.
Now if MJF is going to telegraph he's going to WWE, that'll just be a countdown, waiting for that moment to happen. You know what I mean?
Oh man,
and the internet will be all over it, and then he'll drop on Monday Night Raw one night.
Yeah, dude, you're right. I mean,
a year and a half from now,
Jericho literally had a countdown, and everybody for weeks are like, "What are they counting down to?"
That was pre-internet when they needed an actual countdown.
Yeah.
When it was just tweets telling you what day it was.
Yeah. Now that countdown would be good, and I think it would be great. But I think Tony Khan should. I hope he does end up paying him the money and just let it play out, because you're going to benefit, because the more that MJF
because he's going to leave anyway.
Yeah,
he's going to leave.
And if you're going to sit now, the Vince move would be, I'm going to sit you on the bench and make people forget about you. That could happen too. I don't know. But Tony Khan doesn't seem like he's that kind of guy. He doesn't seem like a Vince kind of guy that would do that. Like, I'm going to just bench you. Like Punk was saying in the scrum, the weird politics for the sake of politics rather than just like everybody having fun. So
remember, Tony Khan's not even doing this for profit. He's just literally doing this because he wants for fun.
Because he enjoys it.
This is his hobby, is doing pro wrestling.
Yeah, so I think it's great. Here's what I would do if I was Tony Khan, besides pay the money. I would do the Vince McMahon where now, okay, this was a shoot. You win. I'm going to give you a raise, but we're going to keep doing business talking about this, and we're going to work it. We talk about working yourself into a shoot. Now shoot yourself into a work and have that where will he or won't he? Because that's great. When Brian Pillman, like we watched the episode of Dark Side of the Ring, when Brian Pillman did that and he was playing the WCW office and like, yeah, let's pretend I'm going to leave my contract and I'm not under contract to you. And then let me go to ECW and then let me talk to him. And the whole time he was working both offices, and then he ended up, I was trying to get out of my contract for real. And he became a star in WCW and ECW and WWE all within like a 6-month period. I was like, but that was great. Brian Pillman was so hot at that time. It was such a big deal. Both companies will benefit if they pull a quasi version of that angle. Both companies will benefit from it. And the sport will benefit from it. So I hope that's what they end up doing. So, sorry, wrong pipe.
JJ says he'll send MJF to NXT. I don't think you can go to NXT from AEW. I feel like it's like NXT to AEW than to WWE.
I don't even know if that really... Yeah, I mean, that would...
What is going on NXT 2.0 anyway?
I don't know. I don't feel like there's anybody going in any direction.
Is Braun Breaker still there, or did he move up already?
No, he's still there. I mean, he did have a match, I think, on Raw. But I feel like the revolving door that was NXT is gone. Like, now you're there in NXT, and you're just there. I don't feel like there's anybody moving up or down. I think they're just kind of limping it along as like a third brand. They lost that.
Every time I watch NXT, I have this feeling like it was shot on the same set where they shot Bozo the Clown.
Well, because of the way the bleachers are.
Yeah, right? Doesn't it feel like the Bozo the Clown set?
It does.
And also has similar lighting.
It does. the color scheme, I guess I got over it, but I'm more of like when you watch that, they have some raw stars there, but now NXT, make no mistake, they're treating it like it's another brand, but it feels like even less than the minor leagues. There's a lot of raw green guys there. Now it feels like their FCW show before NXT. Like
it feels like
it's that third brand anymore.
It feels like when you go to Big Lots and you see those weird brands of chips, you know, that you've never heard of that brand at all, and then the flavor combinations are strange, like barbecue onion or whatever.
Yep, I totally see that as definitely the genericos are there, and the wrestling is not even bad. It's not even that the wrestling is bad. It just now it feels disjointed, where I felt before. Remember when they were talking about NXT and it got the app over, the WWE network was over because of NXT, and like, wow, this is a competitive third brand.
Remember we went to that first NXT show at the music hall, the one they had here, and that was like the first generation, and was like Bailey, Sasha, Alexa Bliss, like everybody, Enzo and Big Cass,
yeah.
like the entire that first class.
American Alpha, everybody was so over. That was an awesome show. Yeah, it was. I just don't feel like anybody's getting over like that in NXT now. Braun Breaker is probably just because of his name, and then they took the name away, and I'm not saying he can't work. Of course he can work, but you brought in Rick Steiner's son that looks like the Steiners. Of course he's going to get over. I mean, he can make it onto the main brand right now, but he didn't get over because of NXT. He got over because of who he is and what he does. Make no mistake. Don't come suplex me on my head. He can work, so...
What's up, Jason? Jason's here.
Jason, what's up, man? So let's go through the rest of the AEW card, because this card was stacked from pop. I mean, you're stacked when your buy-in match, which free on YouTube, is Hookhausen against Tony Nese and Smart Mark.
Do you feel like that belonged on the show?
That was originally part of the main card.
They had a long show. I feel like that could have made it onto the card.
He explained why on the scrum and it had something to do with they were really spaced out. He talked about the odds, and by him I mean Tony Khan. He talked about the odds of a Game 7, and it was such a hot Game 7. They didn't think it was going to go to that, so then they were trying to stretch it.
Oh, they were booking around Game 7.
Yeah, they were booking around Game 7, and he played the odds that he thought there was more of an odds of going against Golden State on a Game 6 on a Saturday night than the Boston-Miami game on a Sunday night, and he played the odds and he lost. Well, I don't think he lost because I'm sure the buy rate. I don't know what the buy rate did, but he was tweeting like crazy and he was telling people like crazy, "Come on over, this show is still going." So I think he was really playing towards somebody watched the game and then they're going to tune into wrestling afterwards. So he basically gave you an entire card of wrestling after the game was over.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense to me because I told you I was watching it. I was at my folks' house and the Wi-Fi is terrible, so we couldn't really keep up with it. But that the first part of the show just felt like it just didn't feel like a pay-per-view. The matches felt kind of small. Even though you had Hardy Boys and
Bucks,
Young Bucks, but I don't really feel like that got built too well, you know?
Yeah.
I think that was a little rushed, or they should have done Cornette's idea and built that from the day the Hardys came in. But anyway, after the Owen Hart Cup stuff, the show shoots off like a rocket. And the second half is great.
It was unreal, right? And I think it had something to do with the way they stacked the beginning of the card. And
Here, Podcast is demanding to come in the studio. Hold on one second.
Bring him in. But I think Jeff Hardy was hurt. Or there's something, everyone was noticing that there was something off about Jeff Hardy that day. And he kind of ran through the crowd and then he kind of ran back in. And it was still a great match. And I was actually surprised that it was actually the second match. But maybe it could have had something to do with him being hurt. I'm not 100% sure, but
he got like his bell rung like he did it here in Texas when he wandered into the crowd, right?
Yeah, exactly. He did another.
Is that just wear and tear? Is that wear and tear?
Yeah, I mean he's late 40s now, and I mean that guy takes some crazy bumps still, so I'm sure it's some wear and tear. He's still so over. But I mean I think the Hookhausen should have been the curtain jerk on the main show. I think I would have put, I hate to say it, oops, just watch my gimmick glasses. I hate to say it, but I think I would have rather seen the House of Black versus Death Triangle on the buy-in, and I would have had Hookhausen open up the card. And I know they had a big deal, right? They had Julie Hart, and they've been setting this up for a while that she was going to turn and become House of Black, and she looks, what an incredible look. She has a great
good for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get her out of that cheerleading gimmick. She's got something cool to do now.
Yeah. No, and I'm a fan of House of Black, but if I had my druthers, that would have been the buy-in, and Hookhausen would have been the opening match because, dude, they were over the entire time, and I think they finally redeemed and like, oh man, maybe we shouldn't have squashed Danhausen like we did because he actually even got the fall, right? And they actually worked. And I just read this somewhere. It's just like when comedy works in wrestling, it works really well. And when it doesn't work, it fails really bad. And this is working to the point where you can see Hookhausen with the belts. Can you not see them with the tag belts?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Those guys are merch machines. Like they just happen to get Hook, who got over organically.
If not, they need to create a belt for them.
Yeah, just give them a belt.
Because, yeah, totally. Like, I did see, like, because I was at my folks' house and no one over there was really super into wrestling, but they did perk up when they saw Hook.
Oh, man.
Everybody when they saw Hook.
It's just that look is just that look that he has is so good, and he has the pedigree, and he's a legit, wrestler. And then you got Danhausen, the everyday man that basically grinded himself to get over. Like he wasn't granted. And
he tweeted himself over.
Yeah, he got himself over using every tool and he built this character. And if you go back and watch some of his old stuff, and you can see the beginnings of it and what it turned into. Man, he's just so over, and he's somebody that's a merch machine too. And I know that's why Tony Khan like signed him, and plus he can work. Get these guys the belts. Don't wait too long like you waited too long for Jurassic Express. Give these guys the belts ASAP because they were over. And look, I'm a fan of Smart Mark, and it looks like he's losing Jade Cargill, but it looks like he's gaining another. Yeah, get somebody who can talk with these guys like Tony Nese who can't talk but have a look. Get back to 80s wrestling. You know, Hercules Hernandez always had a manager because he couldn't talk. Those guys that have the great look, that's why you give them a manager so they don't have to talk. Even Bobby Lashley, MVP is so much better when he was... Bobby Lashley felt way more over because he was the Bobby Heenan to these guys who can't talk. And Tony Nese, like you said, I mean, I got nothing against him. He's a premier athlete, but we want to see a premier character on top of that athleticism. So have somebody come out there and talk for him. So, but I think it worked really well, and it had redemption, and it protected Tony Nese. Everybody was protected in this match, so that was a redemption for the buy-in, in my opinion.
No, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. Like, I can see why they did it as the opener. Sure. Gets everybody on YouTube interested. Why not? You want to see what else is coming on this wild and crazy Double or Nothing show.
Yeah. And I can see Tony Khan's strategy because Danhausen is so over on YouTube. Maybe they're going to get a lot of searches.
Exactly.
So that was the guy to have in there. You know what they don't do anymore? Have, like, I would have did House of Black versus Death Triangle. Then I would have started the second match and then saying, we're going live to pay-per-view right now. Why don't they bring in pay-per-views hot like that? Or, I'm sorry, premium live. No, this was a pay-per-view.
Super streams.
Yeah, super streams or premium live events, whatever WWE's call them. Super streams are better. But like a pay-per-view like this, bring it in hot. Like, start it on YouTube and like, okay, man, this match is great, but we're going to pay-per-view now, so if you want to keep watching, you got to pay the money right now. Here's the link.
Yeah, they always have that break in there. I don't know. Maybe that's something mandated by the pay-per-view company so folks have time to grab their credit cards.
Yeah, I guess. But, man, that would be cool just to start it hot like that. And then just give somebody a chance to be, okay, half your match is going to be on the buy-in pre-show, but the other half's going to be on the pay-per-view. So, but we started off with what we expected. I think Tony Khan wanted to have no confusion and have the will he or won't he, and that's when people realized his work. When they opened up Wardlow, going over clean on MJF, it was very cool. They had
extremely clean.
Yeah, no,
super clean.
Yeah, I mean it was
a bit of a squash, right?
A little bit of a squash. I mean, it's still, you know, it was MJF still trying to outsmart him is the only reason I wouldn't call it a full-on squash, because he was still able to work his gimmick and basically finally get your hands on him, and that's when he started giving him the business. And I liked Wardlow had a great entrance because they had him locked in one of those confinement cells that they have for the people that are causing trouble, or the gambling scammers or whatever. That was cool. I kind of like the no music gimmick. They've done that before with Dolph Ziggler, but for some reason it didn't work with Dolph. But it works really well with Wardlow because it's no music, and he comes out with all those cops, and he's in handcuffs, and then they have to like release him. So I feel like it works well. So I am going to miss that because he is now All Elite. They announced it, and they also announced today that he's getting some new music.
They're not sticking with the no music gimmick?
Nope. He's getting some new music.
Well, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough when you go from no music and then, you know, insert a song. Folks aren't going to buy into that right away.
Well, unless have Jericho write the song. Listen to him on the scrum, and that's when you realize that's why everything he touches is gold, because he really does pay attention to every single thing that's happening. So get Jericho to do it. JJ was saying the build was dumb for the BT. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. That BTE vlog, that build on there. But yeah, we should have Podcat as Tony's manager. That would be good. All right, so Wardlow went over clean with a symphony of power bombs, and MJF didn't. He sold it, and he did everything he was supposed to do. He
stretchered out.
He got stretchered out, which I thought was a good touch, really. So that way he doesn't have to worry about like not selling. He gets just like, I can just lay here, and you guys can pull me out of here. So that's going to be good, and that's about 15 minutes we're going to be able to see. Yep. Then we had the Hardys went over on the Young Bucks. Did that finish surprise you?
No, I was expecting him to go over.
So I noticed, and Cody had this, and I wish Cody, now looking back, now that Cody's gone, they had this thing where the EVPs work hard to get their talent over rather than use their position to get themselves over, which is another issue that's always happened. Like, oh, the booker's booking himself into the main event. But it worked really well for Kenny Omega. He was a hot champ. He booked himself, and, they booked him into that. Although I don't know how much creative control the EVPs have anymore. But I really would have wished there would have been a little bit more of a build, and I was okay with the first match happening, but I would have liked something to happen that we would have got Bucks Hardy too. I feel like this was clean enough where you don't necessarily are going to get Bucks Hardy too, right?
Yeah, it didn't feel like it. Yeah, I just didn't feel like there was a whole lot of build for this. I don't know if you ever saw that episode of the Cornette Experience where he talked about how he would have booked the Hardys or Jeff Hardy showing up in AEW.
Oh no, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's a good episode. And his idea was great. His idea was really great, and he wanted to kick it off. He said he would have booked it from the get-go about Jeff Hardy being blocked from coming into AEW, and that Matt Hardy was pissed about it because somebody internally was blocking him from trying to get him blocked from coming over. Turns out it was the Young Bucks or whatever. And just starting it that way, and building off of that, but yeah, it felt a little bit anticlimactic. I don't know where the Bucks are as far as AEW is concerned. If they're somewhere where they're not happy, they seem to be on the back burner, company wise, right?
Yeah, I don't really know where do they go from here because I don't think Jurassic they're setting up to lose their belt soon. Do you put it back on the Bucks?
No, I don't. I think there's too much other talent now. It's got to be you've got look at all these combinations we've got now. It'd be awesome on Keith Lee and Swerve. It would be awesome on Hookhausen. It would be awesome on FTR. Let them have double belts.
Yeah.
I think like we've said it before, AEW tends to put the titles on late on folks, and I wonder if that had a lot to do with there was pandemic, right? So a lot of things got thrown off schedule. But I think Jurassic Express was meant to have the titles a while ago, and they're getting their run, and it's going to be over. And then you're going to have to probably you got to Jungle Boy Jack's got to be he's got to be his own thing. He's got to be his own thing.
Yeah, I think he is going to be his own. But man,
and you got to turn Luchasaurus heel.
Oh yeah, that's inevitable. I mean, he's going to be. I mean, he's a monster heel, right?
Yeah, Starks and Hobbs would be a great combo. There's too much tag team talent right now. You might need another tag team belt.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? It's like, why haven't they? I think they should. I'd still like to see the trios belt first, and I think then you could have. How cool would it have been if when Marco Stunt, because I think that was a really hot, that was a hot act when it was all three of them. They could have started with the 6-man belts and kind of led into this, and then it would have felt a little bit. You wouldn't have felt it took too long, because it could be argued it felt like it took a little bit too long to get the belt on Darby, and it took a little bit too long to get the belt on Sammy. But there's such a fine balance because you also don't want to have these belts flipping all the time, right? You just want it to feel like it means something when that title changes hands. But it's a fine line. But maybe it is time for another belt. I'd like to see a mixed gender trios belt like in Lucha Underground, which was one of my favorite promotions in a long time because of what they did, like the Aztec belt. That belt was just like, you're going to have this belt, but it was a Money in the Bank belt, and then you were going to lose it. You knew you were going to lose it because eventually you were going to cash it in for a title, and now the belt is hot. Man, such a dynamic belt to have. And then the mixed gender belt was always so cool. It just so worked because, again, we know factions work. So to have those belts, like the Fabulous Freebirds with their, 6-man belts, man, that was always so fun. That was always so fun.
They need to definitely. Are these Owen Hart belts up for grabs?
That's a good question.
Because I didn't realize they were even getting belts. I thought it was going to be just a trophy or whatever, certificate of achievement.
Yeah.
But they got new cool belts.
Yeah, they have very cool belts.
Can we challenge for those belts? Can folks try and take those belts?
That would be cool. I mean, it's definitely going to be an annual thing. So I don't know if that means are they going to do it Ralph Macchio, All Valley style, that by next year, the person who had the belt last year automatically gets a bye? That would be cool. But we'll jump to that in a minute. But yeah, I got a lot to say about that. That was a great. The whole thing was just
all right.
great.
What's next? What happened next?
Jade Cargill went over on Anna Jay.
That was fine.
Yeah,
that was like a Rampage match.
It was a Rampage, man. But I love Anna Jay. I feel like they could be doing so much more with her. Like, why do I feel like they're still struggling with her? Like, remember when we said how hot of a heel Ty Conte would be? And now look how hot of a heel she is. People legit hate her. Like, she's getting real heat. She's not getting channel changing heat. She's getting real heat.
No, she's getting Storm the Capitol heat.
Yeah, I think, oh man, that's so good. Again, I want to see that, I want to call her Samantha Fox, but I want to see the bunny, which I see the bunny is like an announcer.
Is she? I didn't realize that.
Man, but it's just, I want to see that heart, the three from hell. I want to see Anna Jay with the bunny versus, I keep calling her Samantha Fox. I don't even think she's with the company anymore. I want to see them work together and have that three from hell gimmick, because they're starting to do with Jade Cargill, right? We had our first surprise announcement. We had the, what's his name is now All Elite, and he's going to be her new manager. And she has that, and she has the baddie section. And I think this is going to help. Jade has that look. And again, I'm sorry I keep marking out over Tony Khan's scrum, but he brought this up in the scrum that when Jade Cargill shows up to any event and you're like, yes, I'm a wrestler, she makes an instant impact. When you look at her, you're like, wow. Like, she bowls you over in every way. And she can work. I mean, she's still young in her career. I want to call her green, but I mean, her stuff is believable. But I want to see her almost say less. I want to have the baddies, and I want to have her new representation say more than her, if that makes any sense.
No, I agree. And I heard they were talking about maybe Sunny Kiss joining her baddies.
Yeah, I thought
that would be awesome. That'd be a great addition. But yeah, she needs that. She does. Not that she shouldn't talk so much, but like she's a super, like, powerful, over the top heel. She just doesn't need to say as much. Her folks can speak for her.
I'd hardly want to see her say anything. I want to let her actions in the ring talk, because she has what, William Regal said, that I can tell when somebody's a star as soon as they walk out, because of her, obviously because of her look, but also her energy. She just has such a great energy that she's really going to elevate this belt. And this is a belt that shouldn't change hands for a while, because when somebody finally beats her, that's going to be a huge deal for whoever beats her. Yeah, I agree, Jay. And Sonny Kiss does deserve more time. He would be a great in the back. And she called it out again, marking out. Here I am. Scrum. Call me the scrum mark. I'm a scrum mark, because they even brought that up. They even brought that up in the scrum about Sonny Kiss going in there, and she put Sonny Kiss over and said it was great, but she just said there's just so much going on right now that they couldn't really commit to it right now. But it made it sound like it was definitely, that was something that was on the table for sure with that. What was the name of the other person that they signed? I know after this, Athena showed up. JJ, you'll have to keep us honest. Who was the other person that became All Elite that day? It was a WWE guy. But Athena, we knew her as Ember Moon. She came out after this match, right? And just come a run in, and it sounds like that she's going to be making a run towards Jade, which I think is going to be great.
It looks like she's sort of squatted up with Anna Jay and Chris Statlander.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Chris Statlander. I feel like Chris Statlander, man. I don't want her to lose the alien gimmick, but she wasn't really doing much with it. But she's still, everything about her, she still has such a great look, and she's another one that just feels like a star. Stokely Hathaway, that's his name.
I like they're trying different stuff with Statlander, and she should experiment a little bit, because she was wearing a skirt and like sort of like a way different kind of an outfit on Double or Nothing.
She was, yeah. She's a star. She feels like a star, and I'm okay with her doing that because they got to start elevating some of these. Some of the other women have to elevate. To if they're going to compete with Thunder, our girl Thunder, or Jade, or the Britt Baker levels, they need to elevate more. So put them in the position to succeed. That would be great. So, but good stuff. Again, I'm a mark for Anna Jay. Next match is the one that I thought should have been the pre-match, but it was still a great match. Was the House of Black defeating Death Triangle. Having Julie Hart in there was great because, again, what we're talking about now, that's going to elevate her by default by the company she keeps.
Can I just say, Pac looks great with a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Pac should keep the mask for sure.
Yeah, just everybody. I mean, this was that Death Triangle. I feel like is. I know you're unsure about Death Triangle, right?
It's a weird mishmash of a thing.
It is.
It's Pac, Ray Fénix and Gravedigger Penta now, and it's just kind of like what I don't know. It's just kind. I don't know. I mean, I don't like Gravedigger Penta. I know he changes his gimmick from time to time. It's just I don't. It's not my favorite. He should do Bat Penta.
Oh, Bat Penta would be good. Yeah, because he's done Joker Penta.
He's done Joker Penta. Do Bat Penta.
Yeah,
but anyway, so I'm not really feeling Death Triangle. It's like, and then he's Pac thrown in with the Lucha Bros is already weird enough.
Yeah.
And then,
we think Penta, he could have a singles run. Like he's good.
Penta needs a singles run. I think that would be great.
I think that would be really good to see that. But again, I got no heat with this match, and I thought it was great. Like there was no matches that I disliked, but I would have just rejiggered. What's up, Podcat? There she is. In case you needed to. There's the thumbnail.
Show this to the algorithm.
Yeah.
This is a cat video now.
Hello there. All right, what do we have? So next up after that, so this was the finals for the Owen Cup. We had Adam Cole going over on Samoa Joe and
another one that felt like a Rampage match.
Yeah, and that's why I was going to combine them because Britt Baker going over on Ruby Soho. I love this tournament from top to bottom, and I've never even been a huge Adam Cole guy. I love watching his entrance, and I love people making, getting so into the entrance. But the right people won this cup. I thought it was great to have Adam Cole and Britt Baker because, again, I'm looking for that realism. You literally now have, a married couple, the his and hers Owen Cup, and I was just like, that's great, especially knowing Owen Hart and how much he was into family over everything. Now you got basically a family that won the cup that is the Owen Cup. Hats off. This was great booking from top to bottom, and then having Martha Hart come out there. I don't know about you, but I watched that and I got choked up, and it was just to see Owen Hart become all elite, and Owen Hart to not be forgotten to time, because there's no way he's ever, I don't want to say never, they might sneak him in somehow, but he's never going to get that notoriety of being, not everybody's going to get to experience how great he was, and now I feel like now he is, because she wasn't going to do it with WWE. This was great, and he said it in the scrum, #media scrum mark. He said, I was like, I didn't even plan going out there. She was nervous, and she asked me to go out there. And people were like, oh, look at Tony Khan. He's looking for the photo op. No, I don't think so, man. I think Martha Hart should have been treated like a queen, the Queen of Hearts. So I'm glad that the person that's writing the checks came out there and showed her the proper respect and gave her the mic, and they gave her and the fans were all respectful. And you can even tell Britt and Adam were both very genuinely, honored to get to be the recipients of this cup. I just love this, and I'm looking forward to see it every year. And I like that it was not used as like a legit, like we're going to turn it into an angle. Like, every wedding in wrestling is going to end with, somebody's face and cake, or every contract signing, someone's going through the table. No, this just felt like the old school wrestling Japan style of, this is the Owen Cup, and these people were the best competitors of the tournament. I was very happy with this.
So are we going to see them now coupled up more on TV, you think?
I hope so. I hope so.
They'll become more of a duo now.
I like just kind of wink acknowledging it for sure.
Because I mean they have the matching belts, right? So wouldn't we want to get that on TV more?
You get the his and hers belts in there for sure. Like I don't want it to go like full on like they're doing with Sammy and Ty, which I think is great. But it's
working out, right? They're making it work.
They're making it work. And
JJ, it's I have mixed feelings about it, but they're making it work.
Yeah, I just like to just come out there sometimes and then sometimes maybe they don't. You know, it just depends on what they're doing. Tonight I'm going out with the boys. I'm going out with Red Dragon tonight. But then sometimes like, yeah, why don't you come with me? We'll catch a movie. We'll go beat some people up and then we'll go get something to eat. Oh, JJ, you nailed it. This should be AEW's King of the Ring, the Owen. I think it's I love it, and I was very happy with that. So next up, speaking of power couples. What do you think of ATT, American Top Team, versus Sammy Guevara, Ty Conte, and Frankie Kazarian with the debut?
The debut?
What's her?
Paige Van Zandt.
Yeah, Paige Van Zandt.
I thought
PVZ.
I thought this was great. This is where the show started to pick up steam, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. Frankie Kazarian has never looked better. He had an awesome match.
He did.
You know, the thing with Sammy and Ty came out, and the DFK, the deep French kissing immediately. I thought it was like super heat.
She had the Disney horn.
The Maleficent or whatever.
Yeah, Maleficent. Yes.
That was awesome. It's working great. They're turning their shoot heat into worked heat, and they're doing beautiful wrestling. And I feel like they're just turning Ty Conte in the right direction a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I was a little concerned where it was going. I just didn't like her turning into just booty shorts Ty Conte. They're doing good stuff. And
I'd like to see more of one-on-one of PVZ versus her for sure. I want to see judo versus UFC. I want them to acknowledge that. And it was kind of weird because having Dan Lambert is going to kind of automatically somewhat make her a little bit of a heel, but Ty's getting so much real heat, and they're using it to make money. So I think it would make Paige Van Zandt potentially a babyface.
If she's a babyface, that makes money. I think.
Yeah.
That's money, but it's great, and I loved the way the spot where they ended it with Sammy knocking Ty Conte out with a super kick.
Yep. And
they practiced that with Penta down in Mexico.
Yeah, and they just did it, and she's like, "Yeah, you're definitely sleeping on the couch," and it just I don't know, yeah, it's working. This is the best that Sammy for me has ever been. This is finally he was one of the pillars, right, and it felt like it wasn't a huge deal when he got the belt. And then I feel like he started to find his way in, first he was with, the less sex gods. And then he was just like, no, I'm going to hold my own as part of the inner circle. And then I love that he just said, I'm good, dog. And I quit. And like, no fight, no nothing. It's just like, I'm done. And now he's just turning into this real, just like the Instagram influencers that everybody hates because they're just being obnoxious. I was like, this is working really well.
They're like that. Have you ever seen that SNL sketch where it was like Jason Sudeikis, guy who plays Ted Lasso?
Yep.
And Kristen Wiig, and they're just insufferable assholes.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's like kind of the gimmick they're doing. They're just like millennial Instagram assholes.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's really good, man. I'm very happy with it, and that's basically that could be their name, Millennial. Just give them that name. So, but yeah, that was a good match. Dan Lambert, he's a heat magnet. I like just seeing him out there. They need to figure out a way to transfer that heat because it's just staying on him, and he's not the wrestler. He needs to find a way to transfer that heat. He's still working on that, though. Next up was Kyle O'Reilly defeated Darby Allin. No Sting because Sting was hurt. And then, man, Darby took some gnarly bumps again. What'd you think?
That's what Darby does. Was this I feel like this was a match that got added last minute.
It did.
This is a Rampage match.
Yeah, this absolutely could have been.
So I think they added some extra matches last minute because of they extended it by an hour to make sure they had enough time for the Martha Hart comments. You know?
Yeah.
So I think this might have been one of those matches. It was fine, but didn't feel like a pay-per-view match. It just felt like a Rampage match.
No, yeah, I'm surprised that they actually, because it was weird. Because I mean, I thought Red Dragon they were keeping as a tag team, but these guys can obviously work, and he was just getting some work rate in there, and he got that work rate in there. But we had a lot of stuff. I mean, think about this: we're only halfway through the card, and we're not even to the Whoppers.
Can I just throw a suggestion out there to Tony Khan? Can you tag him in this, actually?
Yeah, I'll
tweet it out and tag him so he can see it. Like, you know what? If you're going to extend the show and you need filler, instead of doing other matches, do like some house show stuff. You know what I mean? Do something. Just come out, let somebody come up with something and just do it live and give the folks that bought the pay-per-view some kind of house show thing where they get to see it. And you never replay it again or whatever, but do something like that. Maybe recreate that feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think you just kind of waste these matches and people, people don't want to see them anyway.
Yeah, and then like you said, and then they just burn off, and then they're just gone, and that sucks because again, we were talking about movies getting forgotten to time. There's a lot of times that these matches will get lost in time, and then that will be it. And then what'd you get out of it? So
have someone come out and cut a promo on wherever they're at, or. You know what I mean? Just do something. Just do some kind of filler in there. I don't know. I just don't think you should do matches as filler.
No, absolutely not. I agree. All right, next up, we had our girl represent. Thunder Rosa defeated Serena Deeb in a clinic. We knew this was going to be a hard-hitting match.
Was this one of the best matches ever on AEW women's matches?
Yeah, it's being heralded with that, which just goes to show with Thunder Rosa, man, when she's ready to bring it. She's one of the best.
Her and Serena work better together than her and Britt, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had the rivalry, but if you remember when Thunder Rosa first broke out in AEW, her first run was with Serena Deeb, and those matches were awesome. And then they kind of put that, they put that away. I think they've been saving it.
Yeah.
Because they're like the Blues Brothers. They they have a fluid chemistry.
Yeah. No, it's so good. I mean, well, Serena is the professor, and we know Thunder has become a student of the game. And I popped, I don't know about you, but I popped big. I even put this on our Instagrams when she gave, we just watched the Thunder Rosa taco vlog where she, pulling the curtain back a little bit and seeing that Dustin Rhodes is her mentor, like her, not only her agent, but her mentor. But when she dropped to her knees and she gave that Dustin Rhodes uppercut, and then she did the gold dust and then she did hers, and I was like, oh, I popped big, man. I marked
that was
out
awesome.
on that. I marked out with that. But yeah, this was a great match. And honestly, I don't want this to be the end. This is the kind of, these are the opponents. This is the Steamboat Flair stuff that you want to see a trilogy of matches with these two.
I agree 100%. Their work together is amazing. I think they can do way more stuff. Stretch this out. Give Serena some time to build her as well. Because I think she's still finding her footing as far as her gimmick. I mean, she's awesome, but she's getting there.
Man, she's just so good. Yeah, we gotta. I know she's probably one of the busiest women in pro wrestling right now, so we wouldn't even be able to see her locally, like even sure. But we should definitely need to support Mission Pro because she's taken off, man. She's continuing her trajectory to up and to the right. So and that could have been the main event, and it wasn't the main event yet. That was a main event caliber match. But then we had this. I don't even know what to describe it. It was supposed to be the antithesis of Stadium Stampede, and it was Anarchy in the Arena when you had the Jericho Appreciation Society going over on BCC. And Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz.
I loved it.
Oh my God, dude!
I loved it. I thought it was so good. Like, what a way to sort of transition out of what just happened and create it. They played the Wild Thing like 10 times in a row, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
they just didn't stop. It was on a loop.
Yeah. Hashtag Medium Scrum. Here I go again. And Jericho kind of brought that up, and he kind of gave homage to New Jack, who was also known for letting his theme music play while all the carnage kind of took place. And then Jericho taking it to another level. It's just like, what if the music's playing? And then finally me being the ultimate heel is like, shut this music up. And then I'm going to break the soundboard. And that's what stops the music. I was like, those small little nuances mean so much. But dude, that was crazy. And then, Eddie Kingston coming out with the gas can. That was what an image of just like the bloody Yankee shirt, and he's like, his face is all swollen, and he just reminded you of like the 60s Brooklyn dad whose son just got beat up. And then he went there and then he got beat up. So he said, I'm going to go home and get something. And I'm going to show you a lesson. And he's coming down the street with the gas can and they're trying to stop him. And man, that was just this was carnage.
And it like created its own thing in the middle of this pay-per-view. Like that's just going to be a memorable match when you can remember the Anarchy in the Arena. Number one.
Yeah. Yeah. At this moment, I felt really nervous for CM Punk Adam Page. I was just like, wow, like that was just so much to follow. How do you follow that? How are you going to follow that? Just because it was so much for the fans in attendance, they're going to just be like out of breath.
Well, but the thing is, it's a different kind of a match. There was hardly any ring action. It's just a melee, an entirely different thing. So by the time it's over, you're adjusting back to normal wrestling. It feels fresh again. It's like, okay, and here comes a wrestling match now.
Yeah.
You have not, instead of, taking in the main event after 10 wrestling matches just happened before it.
Exactly.
You just have that break where it's like, yeah, awesome.
Were you surprised at the finish? What a vicious finish.
I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I was satisfied with it. It was a good story. I liked it.
Well, if they were going to play it safe, right? You take one of the 2.0 guys who aren't 100% over yet. They're trying to obviously get them over by putting them in the Jericho Appreciation Society. And you could have did the same thing to one of those guys, which I don't even know them by name yet. I just know them by and they could have took the fall. But again, you took pretty much one of the most over guys in this match, and you take the other. You got Jericho and then Jake Hager and just do this vicious double team. And then even a nod to, remember Brian got fired from WWE for, using the Dapper Yapper's tie and choking him with a tie. It's like, no, we can't choke people with ties, pal. And then now he went over to and then he passed out from it. And he just woke up like, again, it felt a little bit like this was really, really vicious. And it didn't hurt Brian at all to take this loss, and then when he woke up, it felt like legitimate, like he was just like furious. I thought it was a brave finish that paid off.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was a great match. It was its own contained thing. Daniel Bryan definitely, to me, he's the best wrestler working right now. He doesn't need a title. He doesn't need anything, and he can get you over by beating you. He can get himself over by losing. Like he's great.
Yeah. Oh, I think everything about this worked. And this is one, there's not many that you want to go back and watch, but this is a match I'm going to go back and watch again.
Right. This is one that you can just watch by itself.
For sure. Yeah, by itself as its own thing. And then the cool down match was for the tag belts with basically the triple threat, Jurassic Express going over on Team Taz and Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. This was another match that I felt like was strange placement.
Rampage.
Yeah.
Like an episode of Rampage was filmed in the middle of Double or Nothing.
Yeah, in the middle of a paper. Again, like looking back at the card, I don't know what I would put here. Like I guess what you would consider a cool down match is like you could have put Jade there, but then you know what? Obviously that's not going to do anything for her, and you can't. I guess you could have put Thunder Rosa, and they would have survived being after that match. So I don't know if that's the best match for that placement for that match, and I don't really remember much about that match, to be honest. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember.
But this is all setting up for Jungle Jack's single run.
Yeah. It's time. It's time to go ahead and pull the trigger on that. I think that they had their run. They've pretty much done all they can do with the belts. There's not a whole lot. And I think the interest in that is waning. And I think you have to go ahead and just set out Jungle Boy Jack on his own.
Yeah,
he's got to be his own man now.
And he's
can't have his pet dinosaur.
Nope. Yeah, and it's going to get Luchasaurus some major heat. Like, you can't make Jungle Jack the heel. I don't think it would work.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think that would work yet. So, and then we had the main event. Then we finally got to the main event.
4.5 hours later.
Yeah, and CM Punk, the summer of Punk has begun. Going over on Adam Page, ending the reign that we waited for a long time, and it felt I was unsure. I was like, man, is it already time to take the belt off of Page? But when I saw it happen, and being the crowd was, I guess, a little bit split, but I feel like Punk was still getting more of the chance. But there was still some cowboy shit chants. But were the chants over because they wanted him to go over, or they just liked that chant? But I think it would have been a mistake to not give, for Punk to not have a run at the top, because like you said, he's the most bankable star. Media scrum Mark, I am. They talked about it. He's the one that got him in the black. You need to have him as the face of your company for a little while. And it was time. Like, he didn't come right in like Hulk Hogan in WCW 95 and like, my first match, I'm going over on Ric Flair and you're giving me the belt right away. I mean, Punk had a run before he got to this. He had a run of getting other people over. It wasn't just about Punk. I mean, Punk was over, but I mean, his stuff with MJF was so memorable. Everybody he worked, he made sure he did his best to get them in the best. He really is giving so much back to all these guys that I love the idea of him being on top and now having to defend that belt. And yeah, JJ, you said it. You're absolutely right. I mean, we have not seen the last of Adam Page on top. I'd like to see, where he goes from here, and that's what's going to determine him getting that second run. But it would be great to have a nice summer Punk and creating more adversaries that are worthy of being on top, like MJF or Adam Page.
And he was crying there at the end.
Oh yeah,
shoot tears.
Okay, I mean, just basically never thought I'd be back in this business, and now I'm back on top of this business. Back on top with the belt.
It makes sense. It was good. It's great. Respect to Adam Page, but he got the belt late.
Yeah.
As things to do in AEW. Excuse me. He got the belt late, so his run was cut short, unfortunately. And I think it's time. I mean, I don't know that he was super over as a champ. He was super over on his way up there. But once he got it, I feel like he just kind of ran out of steam, right?
Man, I feel like that kind of happened with, all the people who got the belt late. I feel like it didn't. The belt is supposed to elevate the people, and the guys that had the belt were already kind of elevated, and the belt really didn't add anything to them. And we find out the journey was the destination of just like the journey of him getting there. I think he deserved the belt. He's gonna have it again. I want to see them do something a little bit different with him. Like, now I want to see the Adam Page. How are you going to react now that you don't have the belt? And because I don't know if I necessarily am ready to see a rematch of Punk versus Page. Not a pay-per-view worthy one. It didn't feel like it got personal. Maybe now if you're going to do a rematch with him and Punk, then you're going to have to. It was already starting to get a little personal. Now it needs to get a lot personal.
Or are they telegraphing a little bit of a heel turn with Adam Page when he was like trying to decide whether or not to hit him with the belt or not?
I thought that was great. I thought that was a nice little nuanced touch. And now I want to see a will he or won't he. I want him to lean a little bit more into the anti-heel. If you want to be the Stone Cold of AEW, then sometimes you are going to have to hit the belt. And he's going to, I think it would be great to have that, crisis of consciousness. Like, if I would have just hit him with the belt like I wanted to, I would have won. And I'd like to see him get a little bit darker. So, but all in all, thumbs up for this pay-per-view. I mean, it was a great pay-per-view. Tony Khan goes out of his way. He really is trying to please the fans. If you listen to this man talk, I know he's trying to make money and he's using analytics and he's using data, but he's literally trying to please the fans, because Vince McMahon says it's all for the WWE universe, but your opinion does not mean anything compared to what it means to Tony Khan.